From a conceptual standpoint. Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace here, dropping in on you. Look, I'm not going to be long. I want to sit down and I want to talk to you. I want to have an honest, heart-to-heart discussion in the best way we can do it in this day and time, and that is sitting up on a live stream with you guys listening and able to comment. Again, I'm not going to take long. On the front of this, I have to remind you that we are in the middle of a fundraiser, and this weekend is special. I set out back in December to hit a mark that we have not even come close to. So I'm adjusting that mark for this weekend. I want to raise $2,500 for the programs that we implement into the community, starting with Black Men Lead. I set out in December to raise $10,000 for the program. No, that doesn't even come close to funding what it takes for us to do what we do. But it would be a start in being able to create an awareness, a program that lets people know what's going on, and to tighten up some areas and to start to build the national network. As of right now, we're moving into June and we are at $800. What I want to do is I want to tell you why I'm so passionate about saving young Black boys. And if you will allow me a little latitude, I'm going to do it by using me as an example, but also understanding all of the other children who grew up with me. And it's important that we gain an understanding of this because this is the talk of our future. We can dance around it. We can point fingers. We can pass blame. We can shovel responsibility onto other people. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to us what happens to our future based on what we invest in our youth. And I mean Black boys and Black girls. But why am I so pushed right now? And what am I asking you for this weekend? We couldn't hit 10 grand in 6 months. And there are a lot of different reasons for that. I'm not going to go all off into it. But I've been doing this for a long time. This channel is actually my second go round on YouTube. We were doing great. We were growing. It was exploring. And we got snatched for crap. Anybody knows me knows how I go. My content is solid. I don't start stuff. I don't put crazy stuff up. I don't ever violate community guidelines. I'm professional enough to get my point across without doing so, but they found a reason to and would not hear my appeal. So we had to start over, and we are not even close to where we were. So when you get a chance, share. And if you haven't already, subscribe. But here is what I'm asking for. I'm asking that over the next 2 days, well, it's an extended holiday. So let's say from today to Sunday, we raise $2,500. That $2,500 will be used for the purpose of extending the awareness of the organization's work. It will be used for materials that will be used in training young boys. There's so much that goes off into this. We have never reached our quota for laptops or tablets, resources that you need in these days and time to pique the interest of kids and get them engaged and involved. There has to be a way to pull them in. We have not been able to set up the national network. What I had planned to do a couple of years ago, and I remember telling you guys this, is that I wanted to set up a tour, a 15-city tour of 15 major cities in which there was an issue with inner city violence. And I wanted to teach the basic concepts of socialization and engaging young Black males to properly socialize them. And why is socializing them important? Because it reduces their risk of dropping out of school, which reduces their risk of becoming incarcerated, which reduces their risk of being criminalized and not being able to earn a good living, which normally leads to recidivism. Then it also reduces their risk of being violent in domestic situations, or in other words, intimate partner violence and intimate partner homicide. It also increases their chance of owning their own business and developing and building generational wealth. There is so many benefits to this. But let me talk to you why it's important to me. See, I was born to a 15-year-old mother and an absent father. First time I ever saw my father was at his funeral. I was 14 years old. I had all these visions and ideas of what was going to happen when I finally met my father. No matter how many times I was stood up for meetings that we were supposed to have, I just kept believing. And no show. My great grandfather was the most powerful and direct and straightforward man that I've ever met. He had a second grade education, but he had a heart of gold. He had a mind full of wisdom, and he taught me everything he knew. But he was my grandmother's father. So there's this big age difference. And there's still a lot of things that men do with their children outside of teach them the lessons that you sit down and talk about. There are things you share, there are things you're engaging. There was at my high school a coach who wasn't even my position coach. His name was Coach Leonard. He was married to my journalism teacher, Miss Williams Leonard. And together they would pick me up on the weekend and spend time with me, because Miss Williams talked to Coach and said he needs somebody closer to his age that can share with him, that can do things with him. And Coach Leonard would spend time with me. Miss Williams would bring me over. It was Miss Williams Leonard, my journalism teacher, that challenged me to write my first nationally published article, which was The Invisible Father, which ultimately became my first published book, The Invisible Father, Reversing the Curse of a Fatherless Generation. It was the investment of other people into me, like Miss Williams Leonard, who we just lost a little over a year or so ago. This woman was passionate. I would watch her literally be so engaged in the lives of her students that she would stop and cry. And some kids didn't understand what was going on and they thought it was funny. But see, I had been through enough in my life of not having a maternal son relationship with my mom and no relationship with my father, that I knew she knew what I was feeling. How she knew, I didn't know, but it meant something to me that people that would not necessarily have any reason to care cared. This is back when teachers were invested in students in ways they are not now. We send our young Black boys into an environment that as early as 5 years old, they are looking for a reason to refer them for special education assessment, where they will either be diagnosed with ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, or something that requires them to be medicated with a psychotropic drug that again helps line the pockets of Big Pharma, while at the same time making them docile and controllable and creating an experience that ultimately alienates them from the academic process and almost ensures that a certain number of them are going to drop out, increasing their risk of incarceration, lowering their chance of ever being able to build the capacity to earn a livable wage, and so many other things. And then we wonder why we end up where we're at. When I was in my 20s and I was moving towards my 30s, and there was this point of time where I began to mature emotionally. And so I wasn't so easily triggered into anger by someone I felt was in some way moving against me. The more I matured, the more Black life began to matter to me. The more that I started to see myself in other Black men, and the more I started to hurt at how easily we killed one another. And it started me to say, I've got to find out why. And so I started to do my research, and I did so many. You've seen the books. We're 24 books in, and I'm coming with 25 and 26 this year. You've seen and heard the lectures. Let me tell you something. What I found is that we don't socialize our young Black men. And so we don't have an understanding of who we are. We're trying to find ourselves in a world that is inherently hostile towards us. We're trying to discover what to do with this surge of testosterone that we begin to feel at 10, 11, 12 years old. We're trying to find out what to do with this increased strength and this edginess and aggression that comes with testosterone. And we don't know what to do with it because we don't have a sense of purpose or identity of who we are. So we're just struggling. And then there's no place for us in this world. They don't want us in education. They don't want us out there. And so we're out here trying to find a space. So we begin to fight over blocks that don't even belong to us because we are trying to assert power. And the number one reason for violence in young Black males is the feeling of being disrespected, but we don't even know how to define respect because we have never experienced it. So we are interpreting what we believe to be disrespect, and what we think is respect is often fear, anger, and hatred, and we don't understand it. And so we kill ourselves, we kill one another because nobody is taking the time to pour into us. I'm telling you, I didn't have my dad there. My grandfather was everything he could be, but my grandfather was almost 60 when I was born. My great-grandfather. He was 58 years old when I was born. That's so big of a generational gap that there are things that were happening in the world when I came along that wasn't there when he was a child. He couldn't relate to it. It wasn't even close. But thank God for Coach Leonard and Miss Leonard. Thank God for Miss Dewberry, my 11th grade English teacher. Thank God for Coach Moore, Coach White. Oh my God. And thank God for the late, great Coach Richard, who just passed away. These men were different breeds than what we see today. So they poured into us. They checked us. They pulled us to the side. They were second fathers to us. There were things that we didn't deal with that these kids are trying to figure out because there were men around us. Parents weren't tripping when your coach snatched you up and checked you because it was necessary, because they knew it was a world out there that would do you far worse. You want to know why I'm passionate about it? Because if it wouldn't have been for Coach Leonard, Coach Richard, Coach White, Coach Sylvester, oh my God, if it wouldn't have been for these men in my life, I wouldn't be here. My temper would have gotten me killed a long time ago. Nobody would have ever known the brilliance of what my mind produced in writing, in lectures, in program development, in business. Nobody would have known that. What I'm trying to figure out is, when did we come to a point where we felt like the next generation wasn't worth it? Where did we get the idea that let them figure it out, only to follow it up with, oh my God, shaking my head, in talking about, there's an African proverb that says, when a child doesn't feel the embrace of the village, he will burn it down to feel its warmth. If we can't pour our love into these children and develop them and teach them, and socialization is simply an introduction to who you are in this world and what's expected of you and how you move in it, how you excel in it, what you give and what what you give to your community, what your community expects from you, but what your community gives back to you. It's an introduction to your place in this world, your role in this world, how you move, how you function. And when you don't have it, they will tell you who you are. They will tell you that you're ADHD, that you're learning disabled, that you're oppositionally defiant, that you have no place in their world except prison, that you have no place in their world except the cemetery, that you have no place in their world except being a criminal minded low life. And they will present that image to everybody they can, so that when something happens to you, nobody gets upset because they think you deserve it. We owe our boys better. And here's the final reason why. I got a bunch of daughters. I had 8 daughters, and they're going out there with somebody's son. And the chances are in this world that a bunch of those guys that they're going to meet are not going to have men directly in their lives. That's the reality of what's going on now. That's a big gap. That's 1.5 million Black men missing. And there is a bunch of children being reared in single parent households, with the predominance of those single parent households being female head of households. And so I want to have a better chance of my daughters meeting someone who has had a positive male influence, regardless to whether it was their own father or somebody else's in their lives. I want them to have a chance of meeting a man that knows how to treat them, how to care for them, how to provide for them, how to protect them. I want them to have a better chance. And I want these Black boys to be the future of what we can expect in our communities. More protection instead of terrorism. It doesn't happen overnight. We need a universal rite of passage. We need a universal understanding of manhood. That's why I did the 5 P's of manhood. We have to have something we're measuring ourselves by, men, and that we have to have something that we can show these young boys what they're going to be measured by. You know, there's so many definitions of manhood. Everybody's declaring themselves a man based off of what their strengths are. We've got work to do. So yeah, I'm asking. We need training material. We need the ability to expand awareness. We need the ability to move and create a network on a national level. That means connectivity. That means spaces, having spaces to train people. I can go on and on of what it takes. It took years and years of research to even develop this thing. And all I'm sitting up saying is our kids deserve a fighting chance. So I'm asking you, between today, tomorrow, and Sunday, let's raise $2,500. I mean, all things considered, with all of the people that are out there, it shouldn't be that difficult of a task. One thing I can tell you is, regardless to what happens, we continue the work. We push on, and I'm going to love on these Black boys with everything I have. I'm going to love on these Black girls, these Black women, my Black brothers. Man, I had an unbelievable, powerful phone conversation with a brother from California today. And we're going through it. Even the best of us are going through it. And I love the fact that there can be unity. So I know it's possible because I'm starting to experience it. And I want that to be our norm, that we can unite, that we can come together. So you can't tell me it's not possible, because I'm starting to experience it. But it's not going to happen naturally, because there's so much that's been done to drive wedges between us and division and competition. We have to understand what's working against us and start working to counter it. Look, I'm going to get off. I didn't mean to stay on this long, but I'm challenging you. The link to help is in the description box at the top. If you prefer giving through Cash App, the Cash App account for the organization, that handle is also listed at the top. If you want to go further and become a part of what we're doing, if you want to be a part of this network, if your city is in need of what we're doing, reach out. Let's connect. Let's talk about how we can make it happen. Let's talk about what is going to happen, because I'm going to do my work regardless. but there's so much more that could be done if we had funding. And I think we have to start somewhere. One of the ways we do that is about expanding awareness. The right people know, the right people become involved. It's time to step out from behind the shadows and start fighting ferociously for what we say matters and is valuable and important to us. On that note, look, I'm going to get out of here. It's Friday. I'm going to head to the gym, try to work off some of this heaviness that has lighted on my shoulders this week. And I'm going to encourage everyone to be a part of the solution. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day.